Chris, speak on it.
So a lot of you all here saw the 9-hour video, and I am so happy, okay, about all the responses that we got. Some of you guys commented on the video. You commented on Facebook as well regarding it. And then some of you sent emails, to my team, and we were getting through your emails saying how your life has changed, how you can't even look at the news anymore the same, how you can't flip through IG, Facebook, or anything and look at it the same. And that is the goal. Okay, I told you, one goal: open the eyes of the poor and expose the wicked. Now, in that, you always have some naysayers, right? So we just gonna address that really quickly. A lot of people out here are stupid, and I'm not trying to appeal to stupid people. I'm very confident in what God has imparted unto me to give to the nations. So with that being said, you have a lot of people who like to laugh, okay? Yeah, Beyonce might be a witch, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna laugh. Okay, it's a new renaissance, and you're gonna laugh your way all the way to the grave, huh? And then you'll say people like me are being harsh. No. The information and impartation is here for you. A lot of you guys with the lottery, you thought I was talking crazy, when I told you that the lottery involved the Sioux people, as already discussed. Now, before this lottery came out, I had already shot the video and it was dropped for you. Before any of that stuff reached to $1 billion, okay? Now, at the same time, you're seeing Native American people, indigenous people all over your timeline and coming through in the media and the, big screen. So now, okay, now that the laughs and all that other stuff is out the way, for the people of God who really want to get it, we got some more information for you. And some of you all have been saying, I'll read the comments. You'll say, oh, this is too much information. Tag somebody and say, break this down for me. You have a lazy, disgusting, nasty spirit. That's like somebody have cooked a big meal for you. You didn't have to go to the store. You didn't have to spend money to purchase it. You didn't have to do anything. And the meal is before you. And you say, can somebody just feed me? Can you spoon feed me? This is exactly why death and hell will be the portion of many people in this hour, because you don't even want to pick up the spoon when the plate is hot and already prepared before you. But we got some people out here who are soldiers, who are ready for the impartation for the next level of God, because this world is passing, but Zion is our promise. So as we get prepared for Zion, we just want to have the information that we need, okay? So I'm about to give you some more information regarding how all of the lottery, the Native American people, the Sioux people, how all of this stuff is happening, reparations, settlements, lawsuits that you see in here. Get ready. We're about to take this little quick ride. All right, so you guys know that there is a battle between two nations, Jacob versus Esau, okay? We know that Jacob got the birthright, right? So with that being said, Jacob represents the black people, and Esau represents Native Americans. Now, many of you already saw the full breakdown in the 9-hour video, so I'm not going to go through that. However, Jacob was promised the land of Canaan, which was then renamed Israel. And Jacob would later on in his inheritance become known as runners, because in Hosea it says that because the nation of Israel has rejected what is good, then their enemies would be running after them. Okay, so he was a runner, he was a track star. This is how that was going to pan out. Now with Esau, he was already promised the land of Mount Seir. So all of him, his family, and his inheritance, they all packed up and, went to this specific land. Now, as it relates to present day, okay, you got Native Americans infiltrating the media right now, and you've never seen them. They have been a quiet people, sovereign people under their own governance and everything like that. But little did many people know, August 9th of 2021, right, there was a show called Reservations Dogs, okay? And this show came out, and the whole cast is Native Americans, the writers, the producers, everything is based around Native American people. Now, this is supposed to be a comedy. But however, elites know that they have to entertain you in order to be able to get a message out to you, okay? Now, the premise of this show takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and this is very, very significant because if you understand history, in 1830, there was a Native American Removal Act, okay? So for the lands that were their own, these European people, who later came over as the founding fathers of the Americas, made these folks move from their land, okay? And this is where this is all coming from. And they had to migrate to Oklahoma. Now, in the actual Reservations Dogs, okay, the cast of the show was on the Jimmy Fallon show on August 1st. So this is all recent coming back in. Remember, their initial premiere was August 9th of 2021. Now in August, they are now on the Jimmy Fallon show. And this is all relative and it's for a reason. Remember, this is all about land, reparations, and getting back what was supposed to be theirs from the very beginning. In this show of Reservations Dogs, you have 4 indigenous teenagers, okay, who are in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what they are goaling to do, what their objective is to be able to get over to California, this mysterious, this exotic land. And what significance does California have? This is all going back to the gold rush. And we saw that even in Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, as we broke down fully, okay, in the 9-hour video breakdown. You already saw that, so you know about the gold rush and how gold was found on the lands of the Native American people. And these European people who are masked as the founding fathers made these people get up, sign treaties, do all types of things, and exploited them. Okay, so this is what the premise of this show is around, this type of history, but they are masking it in comedy. So they were just recently on the, Jimmy Fallon show, and this is the first of its kind. And when have we seen Native American people, a full cast of Native American people, from the directors to the producers and everybody like this? This is the first of its kind coming on a show like this, okay? So we need to know, why are they putting things like this in the media right now? Because we all know how Masons make their mark, but they're putting this in the media right now because, as we said, Native Americans are getting closer to getting back their lands. Blacks as well are getting closer to getting back reparations. And that's why when we see lawsuit settlements, as we already said, this is why this stuff is coming back in. Now, in order for you to understand some things, I need to be able to give you some history. Now, if you hate history, go ahead and log off. But this is very important because you won't be able to understand where you are presently if you don't understand where this world has been, okay? So let's jump right into this history, y'all. So I told you that the lottery was about the stolen land the United States took from the Sioux people. So this show, which is the Reservation Dogs, premiered August 9, 2021. So just a year later, the Mega Millions lottery winner is being revealed for a very specific reason. So the show takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the same place the Native American tribe, which is the Lochapoka, they were also known as the Turtle Clan. So what do you see? Turtles. Again, Sonic the Hedgehog, as we mentioned in the breakdown. You also see sharks and turtles in the media bringing up the Leviathan spirit. So along with this clan, you have the Muskogee, known as the Creeks. Both tribes were forcefully driven from their native land in Alabama after the 1830 Indian Removal Act was passed. Gold was found on Cherokee lands. Georgia held lotteries, okay? Make this connection, people. Georgia held lotteries to give Cherokee land and gold rights to whites, okay? So the Cherokee land and the gold, the wealth that belonged to the Cherokee people, those rights were then given to whites based upon lotteries. I told you in my previous breakdown that the lottery is a representation of gold. Cherokees were not allowed to conduct tribal business, contract, testify in courts against whites, or mine for gold. Look at that. So you had a lot of injustice going on. And again, this is why they are in the media right now. The Lochapoka, which is known as the Turtle Clan, they then settled in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They were led by their chief, which is Achi Yahola. The Lochapokas established a new home at a site near present-day Cheyenne Avenue and 18th Street, okay? That was under a large bur oak tree, okay? They now call that the Creek Council Oak Tree, where they rekindled their ceremonial fire. Do you see this connection to the trees that are currently being on fire in California? You got to be able to make this connection, folks. So as it relates to everything going up in smoke, California, you see all of these trees, okay, the forest being on fire. I told you that when you see fires, it's representation of a burnt sacrifice and or atonement. So the Lochapoka named their new settlement Tolasai, meaning old town in their native language. The Lochapoka, which is also known as the Turtle Clan, they continue to use the site as late as 1896 for ceremonies, feasts, and game. So the area that was surrounding the tree, it was named Creek National Council, Oak Park, in 1929. So in my previous breakdown, I did tell you how elites do use the trees in their ceremonies, and it's all indicative of the tree of good and evil going all the way back biblically in Genesis, right? So in 1846, Lewis Perryman built a log cabin trading post near what is now the 33rd Street and South Rockford Avenue. So we all know 33 represents what? 33 degree of masonry, of Freemasonry. And also Rockford also connects to the ceremonies I explained to you in my previous post about the rock and what it represents. So the first post office was opened in Tulsa. It was belonging to one of Lewis's sons, Josiah Choteau Perryman. Just like the first McDonald's was opened in the city of Des Plaines, where they said the winning lottery ticket was sold. So we can see the connection between all of these things happening. We got our first McDonald's and we also got our first post office. So all this is indicative of history. And that's why we have to revisit history to understand where we're going in the future. The Perryman Cemetery, located at 32nd and Utica, is Tulsa's oldest private cemetery. The 32 is also representing the 32 degrees of masonry. Okay, so we know there's 32, but there's levels to Freemasonry. The Freemason handshake symbolism, it does appear on the tombstone in the cemetery as well. You can see a lot of these symbolisms are, even look at Ronald McDonald House. This stuff looks all the same, and we know how Masons make their mark, right? So the cemetery has approximately 50 people buried and has a small number of unmarked graves. This is also another reason why you saw Trump recently in the media, okay? That was regarding the burial of his ex-wife, Ivana Trump, on his golf course. So a lot of people had a lot to say about that. Why is she buried there? All of these other things. He announced plans in 2017. So whether people were paying attention in 2017 or not, but he announced plans in 2017 to make a 10-plot cemetery for family members. Donald Trump plays a big role in the elite ceremonies as it relates to Native Americans, and you should know that by now. His America First energy plan expedited controversial projects like the Dakota Access and Keystone XL pipelines. So he reduced the newly established Bears Ears National Monument by 85%. Now that's a large number. He reduced this by 85%. Now that ticked a lot of people off. A monument whose creation had been indigenous led and centered. It was the largest reduction in history of the United States national monuments. I also mentioned in the video breakdown about Barack Obama's connection to that, okay? Again, this is about Jacob versus Esau, two nations being at war. So we've talked about the usage of the rock in recent ceremonies, from the Oscar slap to seeing the rock in the media. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog asks, is the rock president? Yes, so don't be surprised when you see him even, you know, in certain capacities governmentally. All right, do not be surprised with that. Now, what we should understand is that the rock also relates to the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. They operate as a sovereign nation, and it also represents the Native American monument. So you can see the Rock of Ages, as we talked about in the 9-hour breakdown. You saw that America's founding fathers are in the heart, okay, of these people's land, right? They got their faces up in the land. They got all these things going on in Mount Rushmore. So right now what we want to get into is understanding that from the 1830s, okay, Removal Act, we've been at war. And during the Civil War time, you had two nations being oppressed. You had Native Americans and you also had blacks. Blacks pretty much had no rights. Native Americans had somewhat of rights during that time. They still had land. Black people had nothing, were stripped of everything, were made to work, were beaten, and all of these other things. Now, Native Americans really did face a lot too, okay? Because you had the Europeans who came over here, masked themselves as the founding fathers, and land they quote unquote discovered. This land was already here and inhabited by people, but they came over on some gang stuff, okay? And at that time, you also had Native Americans at war within themselves as well. You had some who were pro-slavery, okay? They were known as pro-slavery secessionists, and then you had the anti-slavery unionists, okay? So there were some things that were going on around this time that had nation against nation. They were people that were interconnected who were still at war. Now, America's founding fathers, who were the Europeans, came over here, made Native Americans sign treaties, forced them into signing treaties and all of these here other things that took their land, that left them desolate, that had them at war against one another. This is the stuff that happened during this time frame, and we have been at war because at present, when you look at it, we are currently at war. We have things going on like a potential recession. But then you have talks of reparations, you have gas and oil issues, and we see how all of this, you got Trump back in the media. And we just told you about this Native American pipeline of oil and all of this here stuff. Now he just miraculously comes back into the media. We talked about how he granted clemency to Kodak Black and Lil Wayne within a 9-hour breakdown. And now you got Kodak Black back in the media. This is the type of stuff that we need to really and fully understand. So you got that information about the Civil War. And while we're now back fighting for the reparations, and it's never gone away, this is the stuff that was secretly going on. Callie House, as we talked about within our breakdown, she was fighting for reparations, spent a year and a day in jail. And now you have talk about the reparations coming back. Now potentially black families who qualify, quote unquote, to receive a monthly stipend, okay, as a form of reparations. Remember the 40 acres and a mule that we talked about. You see all of this here stuff coming out. Why is that coming out right now? Because during this time, there were two nations who were being oppressed, Native Americans and also blacks. So what we want to be able to do now is connect the history, okay, to present day, because a lot of y'all were really off your rockers when it came to this lottery. A lot of people had already begun to say how they was going to spend this lottery that they was quote unquote going to win before they even got the winnings. Yeah, a lot of people were even saying that what I was saying didn't make sense, but we're going to connect it for you right here now, okay? In Georgia, y'all know all black people move to Georgia for a better life. That's just how that go. That's law. Georgia and Texas is where black people move, quote unquote, for a better life, okay? But did you know during that time, guess what happened? And we already explained, Native Americans, okay, their lands were sold off in the state of Georgia or auctioned off to white settlers, okay, by lotteries. So when you have a lottery that comes out and is valued for the fourth time in history at over $1 billion, okay, there is a connection there. Why? Because Native Americans reached a settlement even with the United States where they are offering them over $1 billion. Okay, there was 43 years in between July 29th of 2022 when these winning numbers, quote unquote, were released. And then there was July 31st of 1979 when the United States versus the Sioux people settlement took place, okay? And the Sioux people say, we do not want your money. I don't care whatever amount of money you give us. We don't want that. We want our land because it was never for sale from the beginning. You have stolen our land. You have killed our people, and we want what is rightfully ours. And that is why I respect those people. I respect those people because black people say, give me my portion and let me go. I want my 40 acres and a mule. Why would you settle for something less than what you are deserving of? And this is the inheritance of God's people. We're supposed to have more than. Zion is our promise. So when you see in present day, okay, that you got 43 years in between July 31st, 1979 to July 29th of 2022. And then after taxes, the winner would take home $433.7 million. 43 years later. You have to make these connections. This is all a ceremony. So this is not just a coincidence. This also alludes to the 430 years that the Israelites were enslaved. Okay, so again, there were two nations. There were two people that were oppressed during the times of these civil war and even before that. We already know that. This is all a ceremony, and what they understand is that the money is going to have no value, though. The wealth is going to be in the land itself. Why? This is the first time where euros and the United States dollar bill equal the same amount. They're telling you, and they dropped this information in early July. Come on, we got to be able to make this connection. So for all of the people who are out there laughing, no, when I told you over the rainbow, 100 years over the rainbow, this stuff is law. You see what the Bible says, Satan will be confined for 1,000 years and then he'll be released into the earth. It's spiritual law, whether you believe it or not. This is the stuff that's happening, and this is why people are perishing, because scripture is not coming alive to you. In Revelation 13:4, I believe it is, when they say that, then Satan gave great power to the beast. Satan can give power. This is why you have your elitists up here being able to run the world, because this is Satan's domain. God granted Satan this domain. Okay? This is not our home. But at the same time, when you have reparations for blacks coming into the media, and then you have for Native Americans coming on the big screen for the first time, as we talked about with reservation dogs, Who I told you? I told you the pagans, they was known as the dogs. I told you the children wasn't the dogs. I already told you about that in that 9-hour breakdown. So this is the stuff that we're coming to. At the end of the day, this is ceremonies that's coming before your eyes. There's a lot of people right now who started to laugh when that video came up, but now are shutting up. But now are shutting their mouth because the elites are exposing themselves. They don't want to be hidden. They don't want to be covered anymore. They want to be out in the open. They want to be overt with what they have going on. And it's happening. And people are being cannibalized as we speak. So again, for those of you who are on this mission with God, I just really salute you. I say congratulations to you for your new imparted information and revelation from God, because at the end of the day, the people who are laughing will be the first to die. They'll be the first to perish. No, they intend to have famine hit the land. And guess what? They can give you all the money in the world, but if the money has no value, what then will you purchase? You can't purchase food. You can't purchase land. You can't do anything like that. Because again, if they collapse the dollar amount and now nothing matters in itself but life in itself, but your connection to your higher power, which should be Christ Jesus, then okay. So again, this is just a quick little breakdown to bring you back in and to give you more about the media markers. The 800 plus videos that I gave you from 2016 to the early part of 2022 was just as a preparation for your spirit for such a time as this. No, if you don't want this real raw truth and information that's been coming at you, but now it's coming at a higher level and at a quicker level, you're welcome to unfollow the page. But for those of you who are willing to undertake this journey and see Zion with me, I love you so much and I thank you for watching.